All right, guys, happy Tuesday. How is it only Tuesday? I gave you guys so much content yesterday. It was so great to sit down with Judge Joe Brown. Really just incredible. Even the stuff he told me off record, which was even crazier than what he told me on record. Anyways, obviously the theme of this investigative series has been identity crisis. There are people that are just pretending to be somebody that they definitely are not. And so I have to say that I can think of nothing more fitting than the news that Eminem is going to open for Barry Soetoro tonight or in Detroit on behalf of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. All of these people are just playing pretend, and you're never going to guess what has happened this time. So a woman that lives in Canada who is related to Kamala Harris reached out to me about their family. And this woman has kept records dating back to the 17th century. I'm not kidding. When I saw this document, I was like, I just need to get my life together because this woman knows her ancestry in a way that is just impressive. She was so thorough. And she has confirmed that Kamala and Donald are certainly lying about at least one aspect of their heritage. They're hiding something. Stay tuned and welcome back to Candace. Man, oh man, Judge Joe Brown. I'm so glad that you guys loved that episode yesterday. He really just has so much knowledge and he does not skip a beat. He does not forget anything. I have to go back and watch the episode because he was dropping so many gems about history. And I think if nothing else, for those of you that are kind of just awakening and realizing that everything that we're told in history books is really just a fairy tale, I hope that it starts you on your journey of just pursuing truth because we know nothing about real history. We don't even know anything about how and why America became America. We love this story about the founding fathers. In reality, it was Freemasons that were battling for America and Freemasons that are likely very much still in charge of America. But parking all of that aside, I want to jump right back into Kamala's genealogy, which was the reason that I had him on. I didn't expect him to go into just casually how they shot MLK Jr. and he was on the case. And then he didn't say this on the show. They tried to kill him for looking into the case and realizing that obviously James Earl did not shoot Martin Luther King. The feds did. They murdered him because he was galvanizing masculinity. He was galvanizing men who could potentially stand up to the government. But anyways, the purpose of me having him on, among very many other things, was because he was a straight shooter on the topic of Kamala Harris, the topic of how she really came up in politics, really gross manner of coming up in politics, how she's really just been lazy and done nothing. Very interesting that he added that she kind of took care of things for George Soros. I found that to be very interesting and compelling because we know that her father, as her family members have said to me, her father, Donald Harris, is a dyed-in-the-wool communist, attended Marxist meetings his entire life. He's incredibly secretive. And now I can confirm that he has lied. I mean, we always suspected it when he said, heritage unknown to me about his grandmother. We always suspected he was lying, but now I can certainly confirm that to you, and I'm going to tell you how. So we had done this show a couple of weeks ago where we briefly touched upon the fact that there was some evidence, some strong evidence that pointed to the fact that somewhere along the line, Kamala had Jewish ancestors. Specifically, we had said that her great-grandfather was potentially Jewish and that we knew that her great-grandfather's brother, which would have been like her great-great-uncle, whatever it was a man named Michael Harris, who was registered as a Freemason in Jamaica. And we sort of parked that aside because, of course, a lot of swirling questions. First and foremost, I guess if you go long enough into anybody's ancestry, everybody becomes everything, right? You can say, oh, yeah, and then on this side of the family, if you trace it, this person's English and Jewish, whatever. But I couldn't, I guess, come to a conclusion in my own mind as we've been doing this series. And I know you guys are probably thinking the same thing. Why is Kamala hiding aspects of her heritage? Like, why would you need to hide that you're Jewish? It doesn't make any sense. We just had Trump in office. Ivanka was very involved, obviously, in the administration. Jared Kushner was involved in the administration. This isn't a country that's going to go, oh my gosh, well, she's married to a Jewish man. So it didn't make enough sense for us to explore that route. But then we received this email, okay? And I'm just going to, I guess, at first read to you. I actually received 4 emails. Obviously, we're hiding this woman's identity, but she is a member of the Harris family. And I'm going to read you this email that she sent me. She wrote, "Hi, I wanted to reach out. My name is blank. I saw your podcast about Kamala's Jamaican heritage. She's related to me, a fourth cousin, but my grandfather is Michael Ralph Harris. He was an only child. My great-great-great-grandfather and her great-great-great-grandfather were brothers. The picture on your podcast is my grandfather and my grandmother, not hers. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to show you a chart so you can follow this along. Also, the Michael that immigrated to Canada was my uncle, my father's younger brother. His name was actually Mikhail. I have attached the picture from my grandparents' wedding day. It is on my mantle. And then she followed up and said, actually, our great-great-grandfathers were brothers. She made a mistake. It wasn't 3 times. It was great-great-grandfathers. And I'm also going to show you the photo that she attached here of her, because you might recall it from a previous episode that we showed. And she shows that this picture is on her mantle. So I had every reason to believe her. It was a picture that we showed, and she says, okay, these are my grandparents. And we again did show this as potential great uncle of Kamala Harris that was Jewish, named Michael Harris. And she's saying, well, Michael Harris didn't have any siblings. So this was of tremendous interest to me because she not only included this, she also sent to us 5 pages of her family tree, like just a document where she was showing who was born when, dating all the way back to the 17th century. It was actually, like I said at the top of the show, it was incredible. She even had how some people died, and she just had the Bravo Harris line, which we had suspected was Kamala's family, but we weren't certain until this woman emailed us with this documentation. And I mean, she just had more receipts than you could ever ask for. She was very thorough, which, by the way, Jewish people are known to really take charge of their ancestry in a way that is quite remarkable, and in a way that I think we all should be mirroring and mimicking. And so I just want to show you the chart that she produced because it gave us clarity. I mean, look at this. This is just one page of the document that she sent me, so you can see how thorough this woman was. And she is saying right at the top of this document, you have a Henry Harris, and that is the shared great-great-grandparent that she has with Kamala, that her then you can see Henry Harris had 2 kids, right? Henry Harris had a Joseph Harris and a Ralph Harris. Again, I'm going to show you a visual chart, so you don't need to try to stay up with everything that I'm saying right now. There's a lot of names. But essentially Joseph and Harris were brothers. And she's saying that Kamala descends from the Joseph line while her family continues on to the Ralph line, and that they were Jewish. So I'm now going to show you a chart because we worked all this out. This was tremendously helpful, and we were able to make sense of everything for the first time because it's difficult with Ancestry.com. You don't know what's real and what's not real. But what we were able to determine after speaking with her is she said, my family they were Sephardic Jews. And so this is the chart of Kamala's side that she's speaking about. Again, I'm giving you a visual chart because it just helps because there's so many names. But right at the top there, you have Henry, and then you have Joseph. This is where she says Joseph and Ralph. These were Ralph is her line, Joseph is Kamala's line. And you see this, and you can see you've got a Joseph Harris, an Albert Harris, a Joseph Alexander Harris, who allegedly married Miss Chrissy Brown. And then you have Oscar, and then you have Donald, and then at the bottom there we have Kamala. So this is just what we are showing is that paternal line straight from Henry Harris. And what's remarkable is I sort of went, okay, so you're telling me that your family were Sephardic Jews. Let me look more into this Jewish angle. It would be very, again, strange if she's hiding this, but let me go ask Kamala's relative that I've been in contact with whether or not he can confirm to me that their family is Jewish. Like, he should be able to tell me about his grandfather. He should be able to tell me about, Oscar Harris. These people were all alive recently. We don't need to go that far back. Is Kamala's family Jewish? So first and foremost, I want to say the woman in Canada says they do not agree with Kamala's politics at all. That is why she reached out. She said it's an absolute fact that Donald is lying in his piece in Jamaican Global Online when he says heritage is unknown to him, that is an absolute lie, and that their family believes that they are intentionally blackwashing the Jewish parts of their identity. So where Kamala is Jewish, they are inserting this sort of nebulous black ancestry that doesn't actually exist. And like I said, she keeps records. She has kept them all. And she's saying they are Sephardic Jews. So when I followed up with Donald's direct relatives who I have been communicating with, they confirmed that what she said is true, and it's nothing that they're ashamed of. They don't know why Donald is not telling the truth about the fact that Oscar Harris was a Syrian Jew. unbelievably, a Syrian Jew. Oscar's father, Joseph Alexander Harris, was a Syrian Jew. So this family is Jewish, okay? And then it kind of occurred to me that we've actually only been given one picture of Oscar Harris, okay? And it's quite strange because despite the fact that her book has colored images all throughout it, Kamala Harris decided to to turn the photo, which looks like it was a colored photo, into black and white of Oscar Harris. And so that kind of gives him, and we can show this photo up close, yeah, that kind of gives him, we're like, okay, I don't know what color he is. Like maybe he's brown, and I guess we're supposed to believe he's brown because we're being told that Donald Harris is black somehow. We're not clear on that. But it is of interest that they've only presented this one photo, and we are just led to believe that he's brown. And so I asked Kamala's relative, I said, out of curiosity, okay, you're telling me that his father was a Syrian Jew. You're telling me that there's no question that Oscar Harris was Jewish. So what color was his skin? Was he brown? And he said, no, he was extremely fair-skinned. Like he like white passing. Oscar Harris was white passing. And you don't get that from that image. So once again, we have a circumstance in which she's blackwashing things. Very, very strange. So Oscar Harris is in fact fair-skinned, and the evidence is pointing to, and there's no question, it's not even evidence, like nobody can dispute this, Snopes can't dispute this, Kamala Harris is Jewish, and she's lying, or not lying, but not addressing the fact that she's Jewish, which is extremely strange. In fact, the person that I'm speaking to in Kamala's family says that the only person that had any melanin, like in all of Oscar's relatives, brothers, children, is Donald. And that is quite strange. Donald is the only person that has a darker complexion, which is why she doesn't colorize him or transform his photo into a black and white photo, because they're trying to push this idea that she is black when in fact she isn't. And I believe that it's because he's Hindu somewhere. And the relative told me that's part of the reason that they think that Donald sort of started leaning into this sort of Marxist race stuff, because he was the only person that had a little bit of color and was treated differently than the rest of his relatives. Very, very strange, and something that is definitely worth exploring, especially given some more of the things that Judge Joe Brown told me. I know that we really should take a closer look at that. It's a weird thing to lie about, is what I would say. There's no clear reason as to why you would take a piece of your family that is Jewish and try to make people believe that they are black. And this woman in Canada also made it clear to me, this relative, that it's also strange to them that she's lying about the fact that lineage, that the Jewish lineage, then married into the slave-owning lineage, which would be the Browns. They established the town, and they have just a plethora of evidence and documents supporting that, while they pretend to the public that they're like, it's unknown. By the way, a little tidbit that Judge Joe Brown gave me off record was that Jamaican Global Online piece that we read, it's been changed. That actually there was a print of that, and it was then lifted and put online. And when it was put online, it was changed. And that he has the original somewhere in his attic. I was like, I will go through your attic for 3 days. He's like, yeah, it was in the attic. Like, my ex-wife had it in our attic. I know it's somewhere. I was like, please, Judge Joe Brown, let me into your attic. I will search through every single document to find this. But there might be somebody out there that maybe collects. I thought Jamaican Global Online was literally just online, but apparently there's actually a print of that, who may have that in their possession. So I don't have to go through the judge's attic, but I'm willing to do whatever. I'm totally willing to do whatever. Okay, now cutting to the other aspect of this that we're looking into as we drop all of these little nuggets along the way. So you remember Dorothy, obviously, this loving, bubbly Jamaican woman who was just so kind and kind towards Kamala. She very specifically recalled having grown up rather affectionately with her grandma Beryl, and also Beryl's wealthy son Kenneth, that is Donald's brother. Kenneth is also extremely fair-skinned, who gave her bike rides, and so we know that he had money because it was like a Harley Davidson. Well, apparently Dorothy is now being harassed for telling the truth. That's at least what Lady Colin Campbell has shared, as well as Lady Colin Campbell. Like, people are just freaking out because how dare you tell the truth when we're trying to blackify this woman? How dare you tell the truth that something's not right about Beryl? But there was something else that she mentioned that we were able to look into and determine a truth about. So Dorothy had told us that aside from having plagiarized a Black woman into her book, because that was not Beryl, she mentioned that while Beryl was light-skinned and possibly Irish, she had a sister that was even more light-skinned than her. So I know that we've been thinking this entire time that this part of the family may have been Irish. Now I'm wondering if there's maybe they're Jewish. Who knows? Because like I said, I'm trying to piece together what it is that she's lying about. But we did learn Beryl's sister's name, okay? We know for a fact that Beryl's sister's name is Norma. So we began looking for a Beryl-Norma sister combination. By the way, I'm very shocked by how many barrels there were in Jamaica. We're trying to find them within the right timeline. And thus far, we have only been able to find in the Kingston Gleaner, remember that was the only newspaper at that time, one Beryl-Norma sister combination. I want to be clear. If this could be a lead, it could not be a lead. I'm just presenting this to the public because I found it to be of some interest. It was an obituary in the Kingston Gleaner dated in 1976 for G.V. Ramsey. Now, don't even get me started on the fact that this guy, G.V. Ramsey, looks like I was vaguely recalling this face. Now, obviously, it's very grainy, but I'm going to just say right off the bat that it looks like a Finnegan from Joe Biden's family. Joe Biden had some interesting relatives, but I'm going to save that for later this week. But just looking at the face, I found this guy, G.V. Ramsey. Again, this could not be right. All we have here are two names, but this is a person that we at least know served in both World Wars. It says Mr. G.V. Ramsey. Again, that stands for Gladstone Vernon Ramsey, a veteran of World War I and II and a former quarantine officer in the Ministry of Health. Norman Manley Amport died recently following an accident. Now, I want to say this is also very strange. So it says now in the next line that the funeral service was held at the Garrison Church up Park Camp on December 10th, and interment followed, blah, 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 blah. It's weird that in every obituary that we have come across, there's an obituary and it tells you where the funeral services will be held. This one, the funeral already happened and they decided to publish this in the retrospect. So that was a little bit unusual. That may have just been the family's choice. It was just something that in my head I flagged as a bit strange. It goes on to say that he saw active service in the medical corps in World War I in Egypt and Palestine. And on his return, he joined the public health services and served in several parishes. He afterwards served in the quarantine services at Kingston. And on that next paragraph, it tells you a large gathering representing a cross-section of the community attended the funeral. Principal mourners included his wife, Pinky, his daughters, Beryl, Norma, and sons, Don, Carl, and Hayden, sister Bertie, and grandchildren. So again, this is like very early research. I just found this to be the only combination of a Beryl and a Norma that we could find. In the Kingston Gleaner, I would be very keen, and we have not been able to establish contact with her. I don't know if she's spooked because she's getting so much hatred, but I would be very keen to speak with Dorothy and to see if she had any memory of this, if she had any memory of Kenneth telling her what Beryl's father did for a living. My suspicion, pardon, is that Beryl may be like Irish, Indian, Jewish combination going on there. And it would make sense if we know that Norma was extremely white, even lighter than she was, which I would just say would just be white. Then we're looking for a father that's probably white. So that's why I flagged that as interesting. But I'm going to leave it at there, leave it and continue to go through your guys' emails because, you know, there were a lot for us to go through. And then obviously we were prepping for Judge Joe Brown. And so we were a little delayed. But I do want to explore the Joe Biden angle tomorrow because, like I said, there's just some weird crossover going on. I know you guys know that Biden descends from Finnegans, and they're saying that this Beryl descends from Finnegans, and that guy happens to look like a Finnegan, but people can look alike. I'm just, like I said, we're going to do some research, and we'll present you some of our findings tomorrow. I want to tell you guys about Kalahsi. Do you think you know who's going to win the presidential election or how many seats Democrats or Republicans will win in the House or Senate? Well, there's a legal financial exchange that now lets you trade or bet on the outcome of these elections. It's called Kalahsi. Kalahsi went to court against the Biden administration and won legal approval for election betting for the first time in over 100 years. They've been doing this forever, like overseas in the UK, but for some reason we never did this in America. They have markets on who will win the presidential election, who will control the House and Senate, who will win swing states and more. Kalahsi is already being used by hundreds of thousands of people rather, and has facilitated over $1 billion worth of trades. What's really cool about the platform is that you can trade on your opinions to make money or hedge your political risks. You can also check the market odds to see who is more likely to win at any given time. Right now, the odds are near 58-42. Not surprisingly, Trump is up big. The elections markets are now live to trade. They are the first regulated place where you can now legally do this. Right now, when you sign up at Kalahsi.com/Candace, the first 500 traders who deposit $100 are going to get a free $20 credit. That's Kalahsi.com/Candace. All right, guys, let's get into some stories. So it was announced that, yes, Eminem is going to introduce, I'm not going to call him Obama anymore. I refuse to do it. I'm not participating in this scam, okay? Eminem is going to introduce Barry Soetoro. Okay, there's Barry. There's our boy Barry, who grew up with a trans nanny, who's up to no good all the time, lying about being black, speaking to the brothers. And he is going to be at a campaign rally stop on behalf of Kamala Harris in Detroit. And so since Eminem is still cosplaying as, you know, some rapper that has lived through tough things, even though he hasn't touched his own door handles in like 40 years, he decided that he's going to come out and remind black people in Detroit what they should be doing. And obviously, since it wasn't enough for Barry to tell us what the brothers should be doing, now we're going to add on this guy who has a complex and has essentially made now like 3 albums dissing President Trump. And he's going to come out and probably tell black people how to act, which makes perfect sense. So both people who have absolutely no reason to be doing so, and definitely have no street cred, in my opinion. I think Eminem is such a fraud. I think that Eminem is clearly a homosexual, and has been a closeted homosexual for a very long time. And I think that it's very likely that they have blackmail of some description on Eminem. It's very interesting to see now they're suddenly rolling out all of these people. Like somebody mentioned how Usher, who, if you're not familiar with, Usher has been somebody who's been quite scandalous as of late, because we know that Diddy kind of forced, I don't want to say forced, but we know that Justin Bieber was at Diddy parties and he was very much under Usher's watch. Usher, a lot of stuff happened between Usher and Diddy when Usher was very young and he was like 14 years old. And then, so all of a sudden Usher signs Justin Bieber and we see Justin Bieber go from being the sweet little kid to suddenly partying with Diddy and drinking. And Usher was on The View a few weeks ago saying really sensible things about wanting to abstain from politics, and then he clearly got the call. What is the call? Well, I mean, honestly, Kanye told me all about this. Basically, that there's kind of like essentially black people who are really actually being controlled, who are told that they have to control other people. And so Kanye said a long time ago that Diddy was a Fed and that he would have been in prison had he not done a deal with the Feds. And part of that deal was that when he gets the call, like if Kanye's acting out of control, Diddy's got to call Kanye and say, Kanye, you don't do that. Hey, man, it's all cool. Like, let's talk about it. And this is kind of what I think now when I see artists like Usher, who just were sensibly saying like, hey, I don't want to jump into politics or tell people how to vote. And then literally like a week later, he tells people how to vote. And he's like, you got to vote for Kamala Harris. And then you see the same thing with Eminem. And he's just making like album after album trying to tell people to hate Donald Trump. Like, what artist really wants to spend time in the booth just speaking about politics and talking about Donald Trump? There's something fundamentally weird about that. Can we agree that that's like fundamentally weird? And so it feels like he's being instructed to do that rather than that it's something that he wants to do. And they're, by the way, not the only one. Also, we have Common, who has recently come out and is really making the push. You can tell they're very concerned about black male voters and the basis of who they're rolling out. And they did roll out Common, who basically came out and said people should vote for Kamala because she understands what it's like in these streets. Take a listen.
First of all, I've been in my own personal space with Kamala Harris. Because when I'm thinking about voting, I'm also looking at what type of human being would you be regardless of your party. Right. Like, who have you been before and who will you be in office? Man, Kamala Harris has been around us. She has grown up in areas where Oakland, where she knows what the struggles we have. She's been through it, been around it, she's taken it in. So her putting like strategy and programs that's gonna support black businesses will actually change the trajectory of black families for the future.
I kind of agree with him. Like, she has been around Black families and she knows the struggle because she made sure she was locking the hell up. Black men were getting locked the hell up by Kamala Harris. So she knows the struggle because she's the one that's been implementing the struggle. I mean, she knows what's going on with these families because she's been the one that has been breaking up these families, and she wants everyone to just forget about her record as district attorney. I haven't really forgotten it. And so I know that they're doing this. You see this, and it's been kind of very encouraging. And this was something that me and Judge Joe Brown spoke about off record yesterday as well. He said, and you could just really see this pride in his face when he said, "I'm just so proud of Black men right now." Like, it's got to be probably the first time in his life that he is seeing Black men just fully reject this and say, what is this? Don't roll out Barry Soetoro from Hawaii and Indonesia to drop a couple of brothers. You're not doing your job. Or roll out Eminem to be like, yo, what's up? Yo, what's up? Cleaning out my closet. What's up? Where's Kim? I'm going to put Kim in the closet, whatever, to tell me how I should be voting. Like, they understand their circumstances right now. They're looking around and they're realizing that they are way worse off under a Kamala Biden presidency than they were under a Trump presidency. And you're asking them to not believe their own eyes and to trust the process and to believe that the very people who hurt them in the past are going to be the people that are going to help them in the future. And it is a nonsense. So, and I am, by the way, starting to see a lot of Black women in the comments section online starting to wake up to the reality that Kamala duped them on her Blackness, and the worst kind of duping. Like, imagine just like actually you own the slaves, and then like in 2 generations, you're just going to like try to flip the narrative and be like, no, I'm with you. Like, I am you. It's an absolute nonsense. And I am telling you, we are going to find a picture of the real Beryl. I promise I'm going to do this before the election is up. I just know someone out there has a photo. We're speaking to people that think they can dig one up. I feel it in my bones that we're going to catch this woman red-handed, and we're going to show you the before and after. We're going to show you the Beryl in her book and then show you the real Beryl so that you can really understand what breed of a politician this woman actually is. All right, guys, I also want to remind you that in today's economic environment, it is extremely stressful, but the Fed has finally dropped interest rates. So there's no better time than now to put you and your family in a better financial position. So if you're a homeowner, American Financing is helping thousands of families just like you get out from underneath credit card debt by tapping into their home's equity. American Financing is saving their homeowners, their borrowers, over an average of $800 a month. $800 a month is like a $10,000 raise at work, and it costs absolutely nothing to find out how much you could be saving. They're closing some in as little as 10 days, and if you start today, you may not have to make next month's mortgage payment. There's no better time than now to turn your situation around. Call today, 800-795-1210. That's 800-795-1210. Or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. Okay, before we get into Liam Payne, I forgot earlier, I wanted to show you the close-ups, by the way, of that paternal line of Kamala's. Like she's not just like, she's like exceedingly Jewish. It's kind of weird that we didn't know this. Can you give me the close up of like the Joseph Harris at the top? Do you guys have it? I'm sorry to go backwards. This is her paternal line. And I'm not laughing. It's just like weird. I am laughing. No, I am laughing. I shouldn't take that back. I did just laugh, and you saw me do that live. But it's just like, once I saw the family tree and I'm like, whoa, that's her great great grandfather. And this woman's just out here being like, yeah, I'm Black now. Whatever. Show me the other guy too. Like, yeah, this is Albert Harris, right? So this is Oscar Harris. This is like her grandfather's father. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like you can just like do that. I feel like you can't just be out here being Jewish and then just be like, nah, never mind, I'm Black. I don't know. I don't think you can. Maybe you can. We're going to find out. November 5th is around the corner. But like, when I was looking at these photos up close, I was just like, dang, Kamala, this is so low-key disrespectful. It's disrespectful to Black people and Jewish people. Like, this is like everything. This is, I don't know. Show me the photo again up close. Show me this man. Show me her granddad. Dang, Kamala. You really out here trying to play us. It's too much, man. It's just too much. Anyways, moving on. I want to talk about Liam Payne. We spoke about him last week. Obviously a tremendous tragedy, and like, we're having a conversation about what is happening to him without wanting to be callous and recognizing that even if every person that I know within their family has dealt with somebody that has drugs and alcohol problems, definitely in my family. Like, please do not, I would never mock somebody that's suffering with alcoholism or suffering with drug problems, because it's really sad how a lot of people came across their addictions. Like, some people were just like, hey, I need a pill because I have pain in my back. And the next thing you know, they're popping pills and getting them off of the street. Like, we have a big pharma issue. And, I'm not at all like mocking what happened to Liam Payne. It's actually a very serious thing. And they have now revealed, the press has revealed, that he had pink cocaine in his system at the time of his death. And I want to slow this down for you because this pink cocaine keeps coming up. Okay. Now, we had covered this on our show a while ago. So what's come up now is that his initial toxicology report revealed that he had all sorts of drugs in his system, which we were expecting, obviously, given the state of his hotel room and a lot of drug paraphernalia that we saw on the desk. But we were not expecting to hear pink cocaine. And that's according to a report from ABC News on Monday, which cited multiple sources. Now, when we first heard of this pink cocaine, it was actually even before DJ Rodney, the producer, I think it's DJ Rodney, I know it's Lil Rod, pardon. Lil Rod had dropped that case against Diddy in which he talked about pink cocaine. He talks about how they liquefy it and how they give it out at Diddy parties and how it's this combination of MDMA and cocaine. It just gets people high out of their minds. It might be the reason people say ain't no party like a Diddy party, because they're being, unbeknownst to them, drugged with MDMA, ketamine, and methamphetamine when they're taking a drink. I mean, allegedly, according to Lil Rod, they dump out the bottles and they refill it with this stuff, which is potent and obviously is probably also in the process creating a lot of drug addicts and getting a lot of these men to loosen up and do things that they wouldn't do otherwise. But I do also want to remind you that this came up when we had showed you that man who had shot up the Trump hotel a while ago. He didn't shoot anybody, but he was just shooting up and basically saying that he wanted to get arrested. And he was speaking about how the rap game is completely fake, and said what they actually have are these glorified drug dealers who are allowed to basically move on behalf of the feds pink cocaine into the United States. Like, this was basically the rap game is a smoke screen for a Fed effort to get drugs into the United States. So I want to jog your memory of what this guy, who at the time we all thought was insane, said when he got arrested.
The hip hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs all over the United States. You need to inform the DEA. They move all the dope, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs,
by DEA there inside the United States. Okay, they move what's called high grade powder MDMA. They move cocaine and they move liquid cocaine in the bottles too. Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I've seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time. Right, he calls it GG, but it's liquid cocaine.
Yeah. And so what we have been uncovering a lot throughout this series, this new podcast, is, and basically according to things that Kanye told me, it's occurring too much. And it is now firmly my belief that it is not a conspiracy, that essentially what they do is they find these celebrities, they give these celebrities platforms, but they're also fearful of the power that these celebrities have, which means that if these celebrities don't go along with their political interests, like if you're a celebrity and you're Taylor Swift and you're out there and you're like, go vote for Trump, that's going to be a problem, right? Because you've given her so much power and given her such a platform that they want to take out basically an insurance policy. And the best way to have an insurance policy against these celebrities is, well, you've got the media, which will take them down in 4 seconds, calling them crazy, wacko, jacko. But you also want them to be addicted to something, right? So when you see a remarkable talent and you see that they get a huge following, the best thing that you can do is invite them to a party. Oh my God, you're in the in crowd, or you're in Hollywood. Why don't you come to a Diddy party? Why don't you come to a Jay-Z, Beyonce party? Why don't you come to, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting invited to one of these parties. And then these people are being introduced to drugs. And I've heard this, by the way. I could name the person that has these parties. There's like a Diddy character who is in London who hosts every after party at the BAFTA. I'm not going to name him, but this is everywhere. So you get these young artists, and the next thing you know, they're completely wacky and kooky, and they're out of their mind drugged. And when I look at the Liam Payne story, I see that. I see this group of young boys who were adored by so many of their young fans. Were they 13, 12 years old? And then what happened is they all became very complicated, right? And, I know Zayn Malik spoke out about his depression. I don't know that he's ever spoken out about drinking or doing any drugs, but I know that he did deal with depression. You have Liam Payne that clearly then dealt with a drug addiction. And you have Harry Styles, who some people may look at as the most successful, but he leaned into the other thing that you have to be when you're in Hollywood, a homosexual. I don't even think he's actually a homosexual, but he's playing the game of flirtation and purporting to be a homosexual because it's what they want. You kind of have to feed the rainbow mafia in some regard. And so when I see what's happened to Liam and I see all of these stars that keep falling, I don't think it's just because, oh, well, when they get money, they just want to do drugs. I think they have handlers, like Kanye said, that try to get them addicted to drugs. I think you have people like Bobby who get Whitney addicted to crack cocaine. I think you have people like that doctor who, gave Michael Jackson more and more of that drug to make him feel at ease because he said that he couldn't sleep. And I'm putting this out there. This is my belief. I don't care if you guys think it's a conspiracy. I actually know that most people who watch this show are recognizing that Hollywood is a very sinister place. And if you don't comply with the things that they want you to comply with, you will end up like Britney Spears, who most people believe in a conspiracy that she was cloned. She wasn't. Britney Spears, what you are looking at is what happens when you are put on lithium, when you are your brain is being sustained on lithium for years. There is no coming back from that. And they know that. And they put her on that anyways. And that's exactly what they tried to do to Kanye, but he got away. Anyways, I'm not going to rant too much on that, but I just wanted to say that it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. 7 Weeks Coffee, I've told you guys about that. It is America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to fund the pro-life movement, one cup of coffee at a time. Now, why are they called 7 Weeks Coffee? Because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean. And it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country. They have raised over $500,000 for these centers, and they have saved over 5,000 lives by providing free ultrasounds and other resources to moms in need. Now let me tell you about the coffee because I'm very picky about what I put in my body. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low-acid, and organically farmed. It checks all the boxes. So exclusively for my listeners, if you go to 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace for up to 25% off, you will get 25% off your order. Remember, your order will directly help support a network of over 900 pro-life organizations across the U.S. Again, that's 7weekscoffee.com, and you can use code Candace and you'll get up to 25% off your order. Okay, before we get into the comment section, I do again would like to pull up Kamala's relative here and just, can you guys put me in a box? I just want to be next to, I think I want to be next to the grandpa. I don't know if I can do that. Oh, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I just feel like I just want to talk about that. I just feel like it's a weird thing. It just be like, I'm black. I just like deny your whole history. It's so disrespectful. Look at grandpa's cute. It's so mean to grandpa. That's what really upsets me because grandpa's cute. Like he doesn't look too happy in his photo, but he looks knowledgeable about some things. Give me Albert. Give me Albert. Give me Grandpa Albert. How are you going to play Grandpa Albert, Kamala? Like, how are you going to play Grandpa Albert? I want you to come out here and put some respect on his name, okay? That's all I'm going to say before we get into these comments, you guys. Don't forget, if you want to support our independence, go to locals.com. You can do that, locals.com, and find us and support the show. You can give whatever you want. Even if you give 50 cents a month, it helps to keep us free and not worried about the YouTube censors or the fact that we are still not monetized on YouTube. And also, if you want to head, we now are selling, because it's cold, so I was like, I can't do these Candace cups. I need something where I can put a hot beverage. We are selling our conspiracy theorist coffee mugs at clubcandace.com. So go get you some. Now I'm going to read your comments. I just want to do another cheers for Grandpa Albert and Grandpa Joseph, because she might be playing you, but I'm not playing you guys. I'm like, I'm going to put some respect on your name. I'm definitely going to put some respect on your name. All right, guys, we'll see you over on Rumble, and I will read some of your comments. Let's get ready. All right. What do you guys have for me today? Sarah writes, another bombshell. Amazing work, Candace. We are blessed you're on God's team.